Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Knights of the Alternate Table, and in today's episode it's our last and part 3 of What If Sweden Won the Great Northern War. Now, I really hope you guys enjoyed this as I've enjoyed making it, and with the new show Uprising. At the time of recording, we are at 95 subscribers, so please like and subscribe, and so we can create a great YouTube channel. Thank you. We last left off with Sweden winning the Second Northern War, and with Poland being completely annexed between Russia, a Swedish puppet state, and Sweden. As well as parts of the Crimea were now being taken by the Ottomans, but this would be a slow transfer of power. But the Age of Exploration happened, and now it's time to show the colonies. So, without a really dominant power rising as Britain would, it would be left to the lands of mainly South Carolina and Georgia. Meanwhile, Italy would get Virginia, and Germany would get the largest portion of the USA, with Michigan, New York, Pennsylvania, and most of northern England, while Sweden would get the rest of northern England, as well as Nova Scotia, and France would keep Quebec in this timeline. Soon, the Swedish Empire would collapse. With the death of Charles XII, the Swedish Empire would completely collapse, as he was the only force holding it all together from his conquest, and without people caring about the empire anymore, it would pass to one of his descendants, who would wreck it, and the golden age for Sweden would be over. Denmark would take back its lands, but still the exile government would still live in islands. Meanwhile, Norway would take back its southern half, but its northern half would still be in Sweden. Finland would declare complete independence, as well as Ingria, Estonia, and Poland-Lithuania, which would return and wish to conquer the land that Russia had taken from them. Peter the Great, being the only survivor of the original Tripartite Alliance as he fled to Siberia and started revolutions there, would then retake the Romanov throne, though he would be in an older age now and wouldn't be much able to make his great visions come true, but he would be a symbol head, as well as Russia would adopt his new flag that he created while in exile, and the one that they had with Sweden would be thrown out. Meanwhile, Swedish North America, seeing the complete destruction in the north, would decide to declare itself free and would become the first independent colony in the world to try and create a new form of kingdom, one for equal. This would be equivalent to the United States Revolution in our timeline, though without the democracy. Both Germany and France, Swedish America's northern and southern neighbors, would see an opportunity to strike and would therefore prepare to invade. Meanwhile, Swedish America, expecting an invasion force from Sweden, would start preparing a militia, getting every man, woman, and child to prepare and defend their homeland so that they may keep their independence. Germany would advance forward, but Swedish America would attack in the north, as in this timeline as well as in our own. The French didn't have a lot of men in their own colonies, even though they were preparing to invade, they still wouldn't care. But Germany, who would mass their men, would start charging into New English territory, as well as parts of Canada, to start creating and expanding their colony. Meanwhile, the Germans would then start taking the Michigan Finger as well as the rest of New England, connecting all of their invasion force and their armies to create one large advanced invasion force. But meanwhile, in Quebec, they would slowly be taken, with only the main part of Quebec being left standing. This would lead to the French panicking and start pulling away their troops so they don't get slaughtered by the oncoming American men. With winter coming more and more, the Prussian advance would start to slow, though the Swedish advance would start to go, as most of the army would be made up of well-weathered and prepared people, while the French Quebec would be completely outwasted and would quickly have to start talking about peace negotiations, trying to surrender to keep some of their colonies. Quebec would be completely taken, with now Swedish troops now marching into German North America. They would lose the Michigan finger and would start losing parts of Canada that they had already taken, as well as Sweden. America would take the rest of the North. We will now be referring to Swedish America just as America to keep things more simple. More troops would start crossing, though the Germans would overall hold, being more weathered and veteran against them. Though, when the summer starts to come and problems at home, with years of revolution now starting, Swedish America would now start taking more and more land, with America starting to begin to fight. Now in Massachusetts and Pennsylvania would begin the first Swedish troops, with almost all of their lands being taken away. German America would look to try and talk, especially with the troops leaving to go support the fatherland. And now troops landing in Michigan to try and stop and defeat the Michigans and to cut off their supply. America would gain the lands of the rest of Nova Scotia and would basically encompass Quebec, not wanting to already mix up their diverse melting pot with Estonians, Ingrians, Danish, and others. They would take mostly unpopulated parts of lands, but would make sure the French and German recognize their independence in the peace treaty, as well as Greenland would now join them instead of staying with Sweden. Sweden would never rise to its same power, as they would be forced to wait in this perpetually landlocked state, not being even to hold on to their colonies. So, they would start to surrender more and more of their lands to try and keep. They would end up joining the Central Powers to try and grow stronger and to maybe get some of their land that they lost. The Central Powers would be made up of French, Italy, and Germany, as this would help them gain more lands. Meanwhile, the Iberian Powers, made up of Spain and Portugal, would also join in. The Northern Powers would be made up of Britain, Denmark, the Danish government exiled in Norway, as well as the Eastern Northern Powers, as there would be a difference between the Western and the Eastern. Russia, who would keep alone, but would start granting more autonomy to Poland, and the Ottoman empires, who would be left, and the Russians would effectively kick them out of Crimea with a short little war that wouldn't be covered and wouldn't be a major war in this timeline. There would be 4 new powers, with Sweden falling. All of them would be competing for influence and more control of the region. Britain, as they largely stood out of conflict. Russia, who now just took back their throne and were now independent. France, as they were now ready to retake land. And Germany, who would be stronger and stronger and would have more time to grow as they formed earlier. Hey guys, thanks for watching that video. That was really good, and I really liked making this series. So probably the next time I post an alternate history, we probably will hit 100 subscribers. So this is your last chance to tell me. I have some ideas that I've been recommended, and I'll shout out the person whose idea I take. So yeah, make sure you tell me what you want, and have a good one. Goodbye! Wow, wasn't that a great video? On your left, you can see the whole new playlist we created for this, in case you want to catch up. And on your right is a video that YouTube recommends just for you. And why not hit subscribe? That would be nice. Have a good one, and goodbye!